Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Climate Realism video series. So, this has been making news across the country, but Texas recently went through a winter storm that was record-breaking. Temperatures hit lows that we haven't seen in decades, millions of people lost power, hundreds of thousands of people lost water, it may have been millions, and it was just a horrible situation all around. So what we did is we actually went through day by day and chronicled how many people had lost power, how many people had died. Right now, the death count, I believe, is around 80 people, and we won't know the full count for months. But here's more information about what happened in Texas and why it happened. Check this out. So on Monday, February 15th, more than a third of the continental United States reached record low temperatures. Several states issued emergency declarations. Texas was one of these states. Dallas was at 5 degrees Fahrenheit, the coldest weather the city has seen since 1989. But the real issues here were the rolling blackouts. So the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, announced it was experiencing record-breaking electric demand. ERCOT controls 90% of the state's power load, so these blackouts were felt across the state. With the record low temperatures and rolling blackouts, citizens had to do whatever they could to protect themselves. Reports came in of citizens taping their windows shut for further insulation. People used their pets to stay warm. Others slept in their cars and just ran gasoline so they could heat it overnight. I mean, people's houses were freezing, so they literally slept in their cars. On Tuesday, the situation got more dire. So we start to get reports of people dying from carbon monoxide poisoning. People were either staying in their garages with their car running for warmth and no air circulation. They weren't leaving windows open or their garage open because it was freezing and they had no power. So what ended up happening is they died of carbon monoxide poisoning. It's very unfortunate, but reports are coming in of that happening across the state on Tuesday. Also on Tuesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott speaks out against ERCOT, saying the Electric Reliability Council of Texas has been anything but reliable over the past 48 hours. By Wednesday, 3.4 million Texans still remain without power, and we hear that people's water isn't working. Texas Governor Greg Abbott calls for an investigation into ERCOT. Now, Bill Magnus, the CEO of ERCOT, actually responded, saying this: "If we had waited and not done outages, not reduced demand to reflect what was going on the overall system, we would have drifted towards a blackout," he said. "People feel like what we're seeing feels like a blackout, but the blackout that can occur if you don't keep the supply and demand in balance could last months." We also learned the reason people are losing water is because that the unheated water pipes in their house, which again are unheated because people don't have power, are beginning to burst. The water's freezing into ice, increasing in size and causing the pipes to burst. So at this point, people are struggling to find clean drinking water. They're struggling to flush their toilets. They're struggling to bathe. People are actually taking snow and just storing it in their bathtubs and melting it, and that's their source of water. And even hospitals reported using boiling snow. By Thursday, only 290,000 people are without power, which is a vast improvement to Wednesday when it was 3.5 million. But temperatures, again, reach frigid levels. 22 million people across the South are hit with a hard freeze warning, so temperatures are still incredibly low. The problem is, people don't have food and water at this point. Even if they have their power back, their pipes are still burst, so they don't have any water to drink, or clean water to drink. And then their refrigerators weren't working for days, so the food that they did have spoiled, and the people were eating what they had, but they have nothing left. Now, grocery stores, they are cleared out. People went and they bought everything, so there's no new food. People's food is spoiled. They don't have clean water. This is a literal crisis. So here's what we know. Texas underwent a storm unlike any in recent history. But the real tragedy here is that the power was out for days. And reports came in that the power grid was literally seconds to minutes away from total failure. And as the CEO of ERCOT said, total failure means that the power grid is gone for months, which would be one of the worst things to happen in modern history, literally. It would be, if you want to take America down, you shut the power off. That's the easiest thing you could do. What you're not hearing from the corporate media is that a lot of this was caused due to the unreliability of renewable energy. So let's talk about that. Texas lawmakers have pushed forward policies since 2015 that retired fully operational coal plants while allowing and cheapening the cost, so essentially subsidizing the cost of unreliable wind energy. Now, when this frigid weather hit, what happened is that these wind turbines froze. So they were not at all operational. They literally, you could get no energy from them. Now, the coal plants, which were no longer operational, weren't there to back them up. Here's a graph that shows the actual energy demand and supply during the winter storm in Texas. Let's check it out to get a sense for the actual shortage. We can see that at the start of the day, Texas has enough energy to meet the demand by citizens. But as the day progresses and we look at forecasted capacity and forecasted demand, the demand far outweighs the capacity. This is what led to rolling blackouts. So essentially the amount of supply in Texas's energy grid was greatly reduced, and the demand due to the freezing weathers went up. So you had this perfect storm of the weather's colder than it's been in a long time, the energy that we have doesn't work in this cold weather, and we need it more than ever. Here's a quick snapshot of how much energy Texas produced from each energy source in November of 2020. You can see that the majority of Texas's energy comes from natural gas, but after that, it's non-hydroelectric renewables, the majority of which are wind power. Now imagine that much of this energy is just no longer present when Texas needs energy the most. Then this frigid weather hits, and much of the energy produced from these non-hydroelectric renewables is no longer available. So as I said, the supply was just greatly diminished. So what you have here is an example of why conventional and reliable energy sources are beneficial when we need energy the most. I mean, what happened here is horrible. We get these policies that put politics over sound science and pushed forwards wind energy. The wind energy failed, and 80 people are currently dead. Now, what's interesting to me, and check out this tweet from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she says, "Natural disasters reveal how brutal and inhumane our system of inequality is. No one should be left to fend for themselves in a natural disaster. This is why we insist on justice in climate policy. In a modern society, equity is as important as technology. We must modernize #Green New Deal." The Green New Deal moves us completely away from conventional energy sources and towards these unreliable renewable sources which failed Texas when Texas was in need the most. So I honestly do not understand Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's thinking here. It's just, this is literally what failed people, and then her solution is to move towards more of that? I don't know. And just to give you a sense of how many people were without power due to this problem, check out this map that shows the degree of outages throughout Texas. This map is from February 15th and shows how many people are dealing with power outages throughout the state. So on the bottom left, you can see the scale. If it's blue, everyone's got their power. Yellow, 10% of people are without power. Orange, 30%. Dark orange means 60% of people are without power. And dark red means 100% of people are without power. Now you can see that there are certain areas of the state that were okay, but much of the state, up to 60 to 100% of the people don't have power. I mean, people were without power everywhere. Temperatures were lower than they've been in a long time. Water pipes were bursting. This was horrible. The most important lesson we can take from this is that reliability is the most important factor when it comes to energy. Wind power failed when people needed it most. Reports aren't coming out that coal power failed. It's just that literally fully operational coal plants were retired due to subsidies put towards wind energy. So this is an example, a real world example of what we say when we say that good, cheap, conventional, reliable sources of energy are necessary. It happened in Texas. It'll happen again if we keep pushing towards this Green New Deal. I don't understand why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks this is an example of why we need the Green New Deal, but I hope this is helpful. I'll catch you all next time.
Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and consider donating to the Heartland Institute to support more vibrant free markets, greater individual liberties, and more videos like this one.